The Farmer's Miracle. In a quiet village nestled in the hills of Montana, Thomas, a humble farmer, lived a life filled with love alongside his wife, Eleanor. Though their home was modest and their pockets were often empty, their hearts were full. They had never argued or known a day of sadness together. Not far from their home, Richard, a wealthy and charming merchant, lived in a grand mansion. One day, his eyes fell upon Eleanor as she passed by, and he was immediately taken by her beauty. Such a woman deserves better than a poor farmer, he thought, a devious plan forming in his mind. As days went by, Richard made it a point to visit Eleanor when Thomas was out in the fields. He flattered her endlessly. "You are a beautiful woman, Eleanor. But your life is so plain. Your husband cannot give you what you deserve. Marry me, and I will dress you in the finest silks and jewels." Eleanor at first brushed off his advances. But as the days turned to weeks and Richard's words sank deeper into her heart, doubt began to creep in. Maybe he is right, she thought. Maybe Thomas doesn't love me as much as I thought. Why doesn't he give me what Richard promises? One evening, as Thomas returned from his day's work, Eleanor spoke with a frown. "Thomas, my dress is old and worn. I want a new one." Thomas, ever the loving husband, smiled gently and said, "You don't need fine clothes to be beautiful, Eleanor. You are already the most beautiful woman in the world to me." But Eleanor pressed, "If you truly love me, you would buy me a new dress." Thomas, although poor, wished to make her happy. His fields needed a new plow, but he sacrificed that need to buy her a beautiful dress. "Thank you, my dear husband," Eleanor exclaimed, touched by the gesture. "Now I know you love me." When Richard saw her new dress, he smirked. "A dress is nice, but where is your gold? A real show of love would be the finest jewelry, gold necklaces, rings, and diamonds." Eleanor hesitated, her heart torn. "Why doesn't Thomas give me gold?" she wondered. That night, she said, "If you truly love me, Thomas, you would buy me gold." Troubled, Thomas sought help from his brother, William. "Please lend me money, and I will work in your fields to repay you." William, though hesitant, agreed on the condition that Thomas clear rocks from his field. With the money he earned, Thomas bought Eleanor a gold necklace and rings. Eleanor's face lit up when she saw the jewelry. "Now I know you truly love me," she said, overwhelmed with happiness. Yet, despite Thomas's efforts, Richard continued his visits. "Gold is nice, but a true man of love would do much more," he said. "He would perform miracles for you. Only a man who loves you can create wonders." Eleanor, now confused and dissatisfied, confronted Thomas again that evening. "Why don't you make miracles for me? Why don't you love me like Richard says?" Stunned, Thomas replied, "Miracles? Only God can create miracles, my love. What has Richard been telling you?" "I want miracles, Thomas," she replied. "Only then will I know you love me." Heartbroken, Thomas prayed for guidance. That night, as he rested under a tree, a stranger appeared and handed him 2 sticks. "These will grant you the power of miracles," the stranger said. "Touch someone with the first stick, and they will turn into a donkey. The second stick will return them to their true form." Thomas, eager to win back his wife's heart, rushed home. "Eleanor, come quickly. I will show you a miracle." He touched her with the first stick, and in an instant, Eleanor transformed into a donkey. "Hee-haw!" she brayed, her human form gone. Thomas quickly touched her with the second stick, and she returned to her beautiful self, wide-eyed with astonishment. That was amazing, Thomas. How did you do it? I prayed, and God answered my prayer. But now we must deal with Richard. Take this stick and show him what I can do. The next day, Richard came to see Eleanor, once again taunting her with promises of more. Has your husband shown you a miracle yet? Eleanor took the stick and touched Richard. Instantly, he transformed into a donkey. She led the donkey to Thomas's field, where he was working. Ah, a strong donkey, Thomas exclaimed. This will make my work much easier. For years, Richard the donkey helped Thomas in his fields, carrying heavy loads and making his labor lighter. As time passed, the donkey grew old and tired. One day, Thomas, seeing the creature's weariness, used the second stick to return Richard to his human form. But Richard was no longer young and handsome. He was aged, bent, and exhausted from his years as a donkey. You sought to take my wife, Thomas said. Now, you have paid for your actions. Leave and never trouble us again. Richard limped away, never to return. As for Thomas and Eleanor, they lived out the rest of their days in love and happiness. They learned that love, though simple, is far more valuable than riches or miracles, and they never again doubted the bond they shared. And that's the end of the story. Hope you learned something new. Thanks for watching.